Hey, this is great. This is wonderful. How are you? I am too. Oh, still we're going to have more cleanup. Separate off. I'll share my
Are you ready to go?
Folks, we're going to begin in just a moment. We want to ask you to begin to assemble, but please use your ribbons to social distance. It's very important that we take care of each other. The ribbons are so you can stay 6 feet apart. Please do take care of each other in that way. It's very important that we do this as we try to gather. Thank you so much for being here. We'll begin in just a moment.
Husband of the artist to give us
I have an 11 o'clock appointment.
Quite a turnout.
Folks, we're going to begin in just a moment. If you would, let's gather, and please do stay 6 feet apart. It's very important that we follow the public health protocols in order to be here today.
I can stay close if you want. Do you feel like you're all right?
I think so. Thanks.
Thank you everyone for being here today. Let me welcome you. The ribbons you've received are 6 feet in length, and we do ask that you use them to social distance. Our congregation takes very seriously the public health crisis that we're in and the historical moment that we're in, and so we want to be here today, and we want to do it in a way that cares for one another. Please respect one another and care for one another by using the ribbons to stay distant so that we can make this a celebration. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Scott Neely. I serve as the minister of this congregation. On behalf of this congregation, I want to welcome you to the dedication of this stunning work of public art. We gather today in gratitude for the League of Women Voters, for their leadership and their teamwork and their collaboration, for risking their vision and fusing their resources and laboring to summon us all to honor the work of those who fought so hard before us that we may continue the work of justice today. We gather in gratitude for the women and all who join them in the long fight for voting justice and equal rights that we celebrate today on the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, for the power of dedicated struggle for a better world, for all they sacrificed and all they suffered and all they achieved. We are grateful. We gather in gratitude for the Grimke sisters, Sarah Grimke and Angelina Grimke Wells, who came to understand, and when they understood, to live for the duration of their lives, that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And as abolitionists and suffragists, they struggled against the systems of violence and oppression that distort and threaten all of our lives, showing us the power of intersectional, multi-ethnic, multi-gender coalitions that fight for the liberation of us all. And most of all, we gather in gratitude for all those women of African and European and Indigenous and Latinx and Asian descent, whose lives have formed us and challenged us and offered us wisdom, whose lives have taught us courage, whose lives are the movement for a more livable world for us all. Their lives are the movement itself, whose lives are the meaning of this mural, whose lives summon us to strive for the unrealized vision of what we know is possible, what we know this world can be, by rededicating our own lives today. 2 bands run through this mural, interweaving, intersecting, defining the very landscape in which we all stand. These 2 bands symbolize the earth, our red clay, the heart of our land, the heart of these hills. They symbolize connection and interconnectedness, the mutuality of our lives. These 2 bands run like veins through the mural. They are a bloodline, and they infuse us, as they do the mural, with vitality. And that is what you have given us today. Connection to our history, to our ancestors, to one another, to all who summon us to the great work of our lives, as they were summoned and answered with their lives before us. This work, your art, infuses us with vitality for the lives that we are summoned to lead, striving with and for one another. And we are grateful. I want to recognize City of Spartanburg Mayor Pro Tem and City Councilwoman for District 3, friend and neighbor and guiding light for this congregation and for our whole community, the Honorable Ruth Littlejohn.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The South Converse Communities Partnership with the Unitarian Church began when its pastor, Meg Barnhart, phoned me in 2008 asking how the church can help the community. The church has never faltered, and the partnership continues under the leadership of Minister Scott Neely. Now, on behalf of our mayor and fellow council members, it is an honor for me to be here to celebrate this wonderful and historic occasion. I want to thank Nancy Corbin, the League of Women, and everyone else who took part in this project for their collaboration and support in bringing this mural here. This is a proud moment for Spartanburg, and I'm especially proud of the fact this mural is here on the South Side, where so many of our civil rights leaders have lived over the years. This mural will remind us that these are not the first times our community and our country has faced historic problems and uncertainty, and we are not the first people to have had the courage to stand up, to make our voices heard, and to make a statement loud and clear that there is a better way and a brighter future if only we will reach for it. We are here to celebrate not only this mural, but the lives of Sarah and Angelina Grimke, courageous women who took a stand when it could not have been easy to do so. The Grimke sisters stood for the abolishment of slavery, and they stood for the rights of women. They stood for justice and equality and dignity for every person. That fight continues today. We can take heart in knowing that courageous people who stand up and communities that come together to fight for what is right and speak out against the injustice do make a difference. The Grimke sisters made a difference years and years ago. We might not be able to see it right now, but those of us who are fighting for equality and justice today in Spartanburg are making a difference. For me, this mural is a reminder of how far we have come and inspires us to keep moving forward. May we all have the kind of courage the Grimke sisters had. This is what is needed now more than ever. Thank you. And now, we will hear from my friend and artist, Nancy Corbin.
Thank you, Ruth. That was wonderful. And Scott. Appreciate it. Thank you all for coming out today. Am I about the right loudness? No? Louder?
Go for it.
Closer? Okay. I'm so grateful for the role I was able to play in this project. It's been a joy every step of the way. My job this morning is to talk to you about the mural's design. And I'm going to warn you that I have sons and a husband and some friends in the audience, so if you start critiquing it after my talk, keep them in mind, please. Also in the audience are the brilliant painters who perfectly recreated my little tiny 7 by 15 inch painting into something that is 15 feet high and 27 feet wide. So those two fellows are standing right over there. That's Jeremy and Stephen. Jeremy Kemp and Stephen Long.
Hold up the painting again, Matt. There you go, thanks.
I'll also warn you that I've spent most of my life teaching art studio and art history. And I can talk for probably an hour on any image that you put in front of me. And I've been limited to 3 minutes today, so I'm going to try and make that work. So let's get started. From our first conversation about the potential tribute to the Grimke sisters, my vision was not to make a double portrait, not a traditional likeness, but a composition that was a portrait of the Grimke's life, work, and their legacy. Thankfully, Karen was on board with that concept from day one, and it's been a wonderful journey together with her. I wanted to create a painting that spoke to the generations of work required to make social change. From 1619 on, there have been brave individuals working against the enslavement of human beings, and the Grimke sisters took on that work elegantly in spoken word and written word. Because they were females, they also had to fight for their voices to be heard and became women's rights activists along with abolitionists. That work continues today, and I wanted you to see yourself in the composition. I wanted you to see yourself as part of that continuum that the composition evokes. So how do you pack all that into a bumpy wall? I've got 2 groups of figures flanking the door to the fellowship hall. Birds swirl, suns rise, arms lift and reach, landscapes roll, colors grab you, and a slice of ocean is visible. The 2 bands that Scott spoke about so eloquently are also a really important element there. How does this all work together to unify a composition that communicates the evolution of social change? How does it evoke social justice? The overlapping verticality of the figures suggests unity and generations. There are 8 figures, but there aren't 16 arms. What's that about? 9 birds soar. Do the birds represent hopes, dreams, or are they just beautiful shapes that introduce movement and a sense of air on that solid wall? Academics can't help but try to find numerology explanations for everything in art, especially when it's on a church building. And there are 3 suns swirling around, or there are 3 birds swirling around the upper sun, and people would find a trinity there perhaps. There are 9 birds in total. Could that be the lost souls of Mother Emanuel Church in Charleston? Maybe it's just beautiful shapes swirling and creating a sense of air on that solid surface. And what's up with the 2 suns? Is Nancy into Star Wars sci-fi? Is The Warmth of Other Suns a great book? Or are there 2 rising suns just a double dose of hope? Vivid colors reach out and grab you, but the neutrals tie the mural to the building. The rolling landscape with earth tones and spring greens, suggest our rolling upstate landscape, but it also grounds those uplifting figures. A wedge of calypso blue suggests our beautiful Atlantic coast, and it also brings to mind the horror of the Middle Passage. That was such a real thing for many of our South Carolina ancestors. The last element I'll throw out to you for discussion is the subtle arch that is painted in the space above the doorway. Is it a rainbow? Is it a device to visually connect the 2 figure groups? That like on a medieval cathedral, let me try that again. like on a medieval cathedral, they welcome you at the portal. Is it a reminder of the image first spoken by a Unitarian sermon, in a Unitarian sermon by Theodore Parker, who was born during the Grimke's lifetime, and it was often repeated by Martin Luther King during the 1960s, and then it was woven into the rug that filled the Oval Office during Barack Obama's time in the White House. Here it is. You've heard these words before, I'm sure. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. That's it. Design Talk done. Thank you for listening. Now please welcome, thank you. Now please welcome Karen Mitchell, the woman who had the vision from the beginning. Thank you.
Let's give all three of our speakers a big hand. Scott, Ruth Littlejohn, and Nancy Corbin. It's a joy to be with you today. I'm Karen Mitchell, and I'm president of the League of Women Voters of Spartanburg County. Today, we celebrate 100 years ago today when women finally got the right to vote. The last vote came 100 years ago today. In honor of that moment, the League of Women Voters is delighted to give this gift to the community, a work of public art determined a tribute to the Grimke sisters. It took over 80 years of work to finally get that last vote 100 years ago. And Angelina and Sarah Grimke were there at the very beginning. They were there. They were raised in Charleston. They spent some childhood summers near Cross Anchor at Belmont Farm, a family farm. So the League of Women Voters decided that upstate South Carolina and all of South Carolina needed to know much more about these two women and to honor them. In a couple of weeks, there will be installed down at the site a bronze plaque. I'm going to read to you what the plaque will say. Determined, a tribute to the Grimke sisters, honors the memory of Angelina and Sarah Grimke, South Carolina sisters who were both abolitionists and suffragists in the 19th century. In the 1830s, they were castigated for speaking in public against slavery. Letters on the Equality of the Sexes by Sarah was in a very important early women's rights treatise. The Grimkes were part of the mass movement of black and white women within abolition who began blending their anti-slavery work with women's rights activism. Determined is a celebration of the 100th anniversary of women winning the right to vote with the ratification of the 19th Amendment. So today, we dedicate this mural to Sarah and to Angelina, two brave, courageous South Carolina women. They were in the very beginnings of the suffrage fight, and today we continue to fight so all may vote. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Angelina. We celebrate you. And now, I know that you want to walk down to the mural, see it, engage with the mural, and we are delighted that you're going to do that. When you turn around, you will see ribbons hanging from a tree. And if you follow the path of the ribbons, it will take you to the sidewalk on Henry Street. You walk down a short way and you're at the mural site. I'd ask if you try to please keep your social distancing while walking. We want to say thank you. Thank you all for coming out. And I hope all today you'll be thinking about everything they, Sarah and Angelina, had to endure. Their family disowned them. They were heckled. They were spit upon. They did so much for each of us. Please remember them today and celebrate this great day. Thank you. Please walk down through the ribbons to the mural.
Good.
Welcome back.
Thanks, Pete. Thanks for the money. I hear we're going to buy more stuff for the kitchen. Thank you for the money. I hear we're going to buy more stuff for the kitchen.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, you know, did you hear about this prize? We made $7,000. I mean, what a windfall.
Thank you. Good to see you. I love your scarf and matching mask.
Are you going down there with the, okay, I'll bring you the other one.
No, that's okay.
I don't think I can get the,
No, this is all. This is all.
oh, they didn't buy it.
You don't want to get a shot off.
On the pictures that you showed me, it appeared to be bigger than that. Yeah, I'm sure. You need to take out this one. I know.
Good, you wear
A lady that's writing
How you doing?
she's been working on it for years, but she actually sent me the first two chapters of the book because that had more about adventure but yes, they were chastised, they were very
Hi, Regina O'Shaughnessy. It's good to see you.
And you too.
What do you think? You call some Pam. Yeah.
Can you come up?
Ma'am, this way a little bit. Thank you.